Hello, everyone. We are live for the VDRL race here around Singapore. We are going to, I believe, the first street circuit of the season. Actually, no, we had Jeddah earlier on in the year, but oh well. We are getting ready to move into what hopes to be an interesting race. We have the full 20 drivers in the lobby, I believe, and that should provide even more. For this race, I'm joined in the commentary booth by a new member of the server, Caesar Jake. You can say hello if you want to, my friend.
Hello, happy to be here.
That is a fantastic introduction. I think we might have a bug with the lobby because Martin's screen has gone rather strange and everyone has left the lobby. So I think we've had some sort of technical issue which we will look to get solved in the meantime. But in the meantime, we will look at well, this is a track that has it's kind of become a modern classic in Formula One. I'd say it came on the calendar in 2008 and instantly came in with a bang with the first ever night race. So yeah, there was a lot of history involved with Singapore. What are your favourite moments from real life? This is in here around this circuit, Jake.
Oh, well, I've got to think back now. Was it Singapore? We had the Signs win last year.
Science win.
It was Singapore, wasn't it?
Science
We had Russell pin it into the wall last lap.
That was also 23. Yeah, you're thinking of the 2023
it's 23. Yeah, that was a very good race. Little reprieve from the Max era. But yeah. I think this track definitely has the opportunity to throw a spanner in the works, as it might be. Might see a lot of the midfielders possibly get a chance. We get some mistakes from the top runners. It's bound to be an interesting race. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. I mean, in real life, I'd say this is a stomping ground of a driver like Fernando Alonso. He obviously won here in 2008, but in completely uncontroversial circumstances, and then got the only Grand Slam of his career here in 2010. He got his only ever Grand Slam in the Ferrari. I'm trying to think of other classic races. There was a 2012 race where Lewis Hamilton blew up while leading, and where one of my favourite drivers of all time, Pastor Maldonado, was on course for a podium before his car broke down, so I was deeply disappointed in that. In 2015, we had the a drunk guy, a drunk spectator, walked onto the track and caused a safety car, and that caused yet another Ferrari win when fans walk onto the track. There's a history throughout Formula 1 history of that happening. 2017 obviously saw the massive start pilot between Vettel, Raikkonen and Verstappen, and also Alonso, ironically. But that's basically all of the history around Singapore. It's been a bit dry in terms of action in recent years. As we go on board now with Tiaz, my stream is a bit laggy. I'm not sure if it's the same for you.
Yes, I'm not. Here we are.
Oh, and now there we go. I was saying we couldn't see anything for a second there, but now we're on board with Tiaz coming into coming out of the Anderson Bridge now onto this straight section before we enter the third sector that was revamped in 2023, I believe it was, where they basically there's some real life construction projects going on around this section of the circuit, so they decided to just change the layout a little bit to avoid those, and well, it's produced another overtaking spot, and Tiaz will be going on to a lap around what is essentially a proper driver's circuit where if you're fast and if you're capable, you will gain a ton of time over those who aren't. As we come through the final two corners now, on towards this short main straight, down from 7th gear to 4th, as we clatter over the curbs in both of those corners. Now on the throttle out of turn 3, nicely done, no snapping of the rear end, onto an awkward off-camber right-hand corner. And he's gone invalid, unfortunately, Tiaz there, so track limits will be an issue in this qualifying session, and Tiaz is the first victim. We now have Kevin on board for his lap. He will see what the Ferrari man can do, the most experienced driver in VDRL history. He will come up towards the corner after the Raffles Boulevard here. Nicely done from the Ferrari man. And he now comes through the tight right-hander into the left. up to where the old Singapore Sling used to be. They obviously got rid of it in 2013 because the drivers are massive wusses and can't take a corner. Like, come on. We now come through on towards the Anderson Bridge, which was also revamped. There's another section of the circuit that was revamped in around 2014, 2015. They went from one side of the bridge to the other, and in my opinion, it was a downgrade in the circuit layout. As we now come round, start the final sector, get as far across that white line as possible because there's a little bit of room and maybe like an extra car width you can get there by cheesing the track limits. Nicely done under braking for turns 21 and 22. Turns 20 and 21. Now through the final two corners, turns 22 and 23. Nicely done for Kevin. He sets the benchmark at a 1 minute 28.3.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see what the times will be at the end of this as the track begins to wear in a little bit.
Yeah, it's currently it'll be quite green at the moment, and this game we've seen it in previous qualifying sessions how a green track, how a track can ramp up right at the end of a session. We've seen drivers gain like half a second on their previous lap, so it can happen, especially around a tight and twisty venue like this. Nilu currently on a lap. He's been on fire in the past like 5 races or so. He went from being an upper midfielder driver to one who can really kick it with the top guys, and we want to see some more of that from him because it's been for the past couple of seasons or so. It's been a Kevin and Ruben show. Luckily, Tiaz has come in last season and really sort of opened up the book, but we want to see as many drivers as we can pushing right at the top, and Nilu goes to the top then, a 1 minute 27.6. That's a very competitive lap time there, over 6/10 clear of the next guy. That is very impressive and nicely done from him. Ruben now on a flyer, and well, what do you think we're going to see from the Spaniard?
Well, I mean, he's been performing quite well recently. It all depends, I think, on the corners coming up now. I think is where you can, make or break a lap. We saw obviously the lap invalidated for one of the Scuderas, and hopefully, if he keeps it all nice and tidy, there's a little bit of a wobble there into the tight left-hander, flooring it down the straight. Now this corner here, this can be a tricky one to hit. Heavy braking zone, easy to lock, nice and clean. As we come now to the long straight into these S's, which can be brutal. Gets the corner nice, good entry, good exit. As we come around to the final corner, don't lift, send it all the way round, foot to the floor, and where does he put it?
P4. 1 minute 28. 1 minute 28.343. Only 43 thousandths of a second behind Kevin. And Tiaz also went into the 127s while we were on board with Ruben. Sorry. So it's the usual quartet up at the top. Tomasz Pindor also doing quite well. And Stay Daisy, Kevin's teammate, he's been up in the top in the past couple of races, and we'll see what he can do. Alex Carugoat goes to P7 there, so he's doing well, as Osman also enters the box. But now Tiaz is coming up to end a lap by going into the pit lane, clearly not happy with his showing on that little run there. I'm not sure who else is actually on a flight at the moment. Maybe Froby. Let's see, the Mercedes man. A solid midfielder in this league. And I mean, currently this just shows you how difficult the Singapore circuit is. The gap from first to ninth is 2 seconds. That is utterly astonishing how, even at this point in the session, the top drivers are 2 seconds clear of the guys towards, not even the back, that's towards the midfield. Like, the guys at the back are a full 3 seconds off the leaders, and that is an absolute postcode of a difference. Froby, though, is not off on his time, he's in fact completely equal to his previous time from the middle sector. He was 0.000 adrift of what the time that he needs to improve on his current lap. He needs to try and go at least ahead of Vastus with this run. Otherwise, he'll feel like it's wasted, and he has decided to come into the box, so he doesn't feel like he can improve. Werner, though, his teammate, meanwhile, now making his way up into the old Singapore Sling. And, well, it's nicely done through there. He's not clattering over the curbs as much as I'd expect. And a nice braking, an awkward braking zone, that is, because you want to try and straighten it out as much as possible, but sometimes that's not possible. But we'll see as he comes into the final sector just how much he can gain on his previous best, which currently sits him in 11th place, just slightly out of the top 10 at the moment. But Werner has proven to be fast on his day, just not really consistent, and well, he's into the box, so that kind of proves my point.
Both Mercedes coming into the pits, not even completing their laps. See a bit of a shake-up there for the Silver Arrows. Hopefully they're able to get, they could possibly get 2 more out of it if they have a quick turnaround with the pit crews. They certainly need to make up some time. Let's watch the Haas now coming through, approaching the final corner. We'll see how his lap shakes out. Again, straight round, fully flat. I don't know how these drivers do it. It's very scary. And we see the Haas go to 10th. Not a bad time. Again, you can see the how demanding this track is. You know, with these tight corners, long braking into the exit to another straight. If your exit on the corners is not perfect, I mean, you can see by the timings you can lose a considerable amount of time, you know, as you come out of those tight corners. You know, with less acceleration or later acceleration, and it can be detrimental. But we hope to see that throughout the session these guys can refine a little bit and hopefully put some good times on the board.
Yeah, has anyone ever told you, by the way, that you sound like George Russell?
I sound like George Russell?
Yes.
I don't know how to feel about that, honestly.
Well, the thing is, your voice sounds similar to him, and your inflection and tone is exactly how he speaks. Like, that is genuinely, I thought I had to bring it up, because if I didn't, then someone else would. But genuinely, the way you speak, it just remind me of George Russell. The way you hang out some words and some of them you pronounce it. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm not sure if you watch it back, but watch the stream back and you might get that. Lustek, though, is coming through at the final sector. The pole. Can he put it on pole? I doubt it. He's not got one ever in his VDRL career. But P8 isn't too bad of a showing from the Haas man. His teammate Sharon is retired from the session, I believe. I don't know why he is, because I don't recognise that name, so there's no way he's got a qualifying ban. Quite a few drivers have retired, so unless they are carryovers from a previous season that I don't remember him from, I doubt it. But Tiaz, on for a lap of his own, he stays second, but goes to only 7 thousandths of a second behind Nilu, who's just made a small error. You were talking about getting your exits right. He's butchered the exit coming onto the Raffles Boulevard, and that's lost him 2 tenths. If I was him, I'd just back off this lap entirely and gear up for a last run with 6 minutes remaining on the clock now. But Nilu, he's been known for his amazing one-lap pace, but inability to prove in a race fashion. He's like, to explain it to Jake, who is not really familiar with some of the drivers, I'd call him like the Lando Norris of this league. When he wants to be, he is the fastest driver on the track. But he will bottle a race in the most strange ways possible, and that is no disrespect to Nilu, because we all like him, we all respect him as a driver, but he does sometimes fluff his lines a tad bit, especially when the pressure's on. But I mean, the pressure's on in this qualifying session. He's got arguably the best qualifier in VDRL history, only 7 thousandths of a second behind him, and he has it indeed backed out of that run. He's got about 5.5 minutes to be able to prepare for his last run, and Ruben, he needs to massively improve. He's currently 7 tenths away from pole position. If you'd have told us at the beginning of the season that a 5-time VDRL champion was that far off the mark, well, we'd have laughed at you. As Alex goes to P3. A new driver, as Ruben is having to get through traffic, is...
Oh, big spin from the Williams. Oh, into the barrier.
I didn't realise that. I'm on a time delay, so thank you for pulling me up on that before I waffled over that. So that's a mistake from Ruben then. And, well, Ruben making a mistake is like... I'm trying to think of things that are very rare without getting cancelled. So... we'll say Ruben making a mistake is rarer than a steak that is well done. And it's
very good euphemism that.
Yeah, so essentially it's a surprise is what I'm saying. Here's Stay Daisy. But, not the greatest exit.
I mean, that final corner it can catch a lot of drivers out. Even as you see, experienced drivers. He just didn't have the grip. I think on the rears as he came around the rear right. I think it just left him as he began to straighten out, and see it punishes people because it's not exactly a wide circuit here. As we see the Ferrari into the barrier. Oh no, he locked it up coming into. What was that turn 8? No.
Turn 8. There's about 21 corners on this track.
There's 15. That junction up there, yeah, just locked it up. Didn't quite get the braking line. He's lost the front wing. He'll have to come in. I'll be surprised if he gets another run out of this.
No, he'll still get a run. It's 3 minutes. The only time you'd be really pushing yourself is if you get into the pits with less than about 2 minutes to go. I think you could probably come in, as long as you're in your box and ready to go, you can be out at 2 minutes. Werner currently the only man out on circuit, trying to run in the gap, as they say in Formula 2 and Formula 3, coming into the middle sector now, this twisty section that doesn't really provide anything in terms of racing action, but definitely provides something in terms of measuring driver skill. Up into this part now, we will see what the Mercedes driver can achieve as he goes under the Anderson Bridge, now into the hairpin. Second gear. He's also not using the ERS as much as I'd expect, but maybe he's just trying to use it at different points of a lap to everyone else. 1/10 up on his previous best. That's currently going to put him, or it's not going to put him anywhere that he needs to go. But I mean, 12th place for Werner is about where you'd expect him to be as he messes up the last braking zone of the circuit. Downshift to 5th to get that extra rotation, and still only 12th for the Mercedes man. Here's his teammate.
Yeah, the Mercedes not on the biggest showing here. A lot of trouble in this first qualifying session. We call it some track blues. Hopefully, if they manage to get in, which it looks like they will get into Q2, they'll be able to kind of acclimatise to this very difficult track. It brakes a little too hard. Coming into where is he coming into the last braking zone? Round could have done a little wider there. Does he improve? No, he does not. Not the best showing from the Silver Arrows today. Yeah,
I mean, the Mercedes, I don't really remember Mercedes having a particularly potent period in VDRL history. Maybe, I think Jix was there for a season. Jix is a driver who, the winningest driver in VDRL history. He has 34 wins, I believe. And I think he drove for them for like one season, but they haven't been up at the top compared to a lot of the other teams that are on the grid at the moment. So yeah.
So I have the man upstairs telling me that this is a short quali, which I was not aware of. So sorry about any confusion on my course there.
That's all right. Yeah, it says Q1 in the top left, but this game has been bugged since the start of the game, and that's not an issue that's been fixed. So great from the developers there to make a game that doesn't have common sense. But nonetheless, Nilu, I mean, what can we say about this kid? I believe, unfortunately, I think his first win he got in the 1 week while I was away. So I haven't actually seen this guy win a race, but he's certainly proving why he is one of the fastest drivers. Is that 2/10 up on his previous best? I think it is. He is absolutely pushing the limits of what this track is capable of, what this car is capable of, and what he's capable of. As we come in towards the final sector of this lap, all he needs to do is keep the car in check, not make any mistakes up until the line, because the checkered flag is out. This will be his last shot to improve his time here in the qualifying session. What does he do? It's a 1 minute 27.6. It's only a slight improvement. Tiaz is not improving. But there is one driver who is still going out on this lap. It's Alex Carew. He's been a bit of an anomaly. He's a driver who hasn't done a race yet. I've never seen him before. And he's a 10th up on his previous best. He needs to get a bit more than that, though, if he wants to take pole position. Half a second, even.
Important for the Ferraris here. Can we see Van Dijk get an improvement there? Get a Ferrari up into the top 3. He swings it around the final corner. Final braking zone, I should say. This is the final corner. Slaps it round. And he improves up to P3. Pushing Alex down to P5 now as both Ferraris improving on that final lap there. Brilliant showing from them after a couple wobbles, let's say, with the front wing into corner 14. But they've done well to come back, to place himself squarely on the second row.
Yeah,
and Alex is still out. Still out. No, he's not out. Oh no, he is out. And he splits the Ferraris. Claims back P4. Absolutely amazing ending to that qualifying session.
But at the end of the day, our main man, Nilu Safu, he was provisional pole for a long part of that session, and he takes it by just at 25 thousandths of a second. He got that by. He improved by another 20 or so, or 200ths at the end, which really solidified his pace. But him and Tiaz, they are 3/10 clear of anyone else, including Kevin. And Ruben is nowhere. He's P6. The man who has taken so many poles and so many wins. These two drivers are being usurped. They are generally having their pants pulled down by the new guard. Isn't it on Nilu and Tiaz the true new guard in this league as we enter the results screen now? But yeah, by 25 thousandths of a second, Nilu takes pole position, followed by Tiaz and Kevin rounding up the podium for qualifying. Then it's Alex, Stade Daisy, Ruben, Tomasz, Vastus, Alfred Kirsten, I've never heard his name before, Froby, Luzcek is the first driver outside the top 10, then it's Werner, Nikosson, Osman, CT Sori, Finishing Heart, Missio, Track Racer, Dylan Koonings, and Sharon will round out our grid for what hopes to be an entertaining, exciting, barnstorming race here in the Marina Bay. What are your predictions before we go into the actual event?
Well, I mean, it seems like these top 2 drivers here are probably going to put on a very fierce battle. I mean, 25 thousandths of a second from each other. It doesn't get any closer than that. These two seem like they are both equally eager to get the win here, and I'm sure we will see some wheel-to-wheel action from them. A little further down, the Ferraris being split. I mean, that could cause, some instances. I mean, that turn 1 is certainly going to be an interesting one for sure. And like you say, I'm not too aware of the drivers here today, but your talk of the midfield does sound interesting. So hopefully we get a couple good battles from the midfield as well for the few points we see being able to get collected down there.
Yep, let's hope for that. But we are gearing up to what hopes to be a fantastic race here in the night in Singapore. I mean, I saw in the bottom left of the screen for a second. For a second, those tyres in the McLaren garage were full wet weather tyres, but they've now switched to slick. So I'm guessing we're not going to have any rain today, although it'll be harder to spot if it does come because it is black skies up above the drivers. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Singapore. We are go, 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 go. Who's going to get the best start off the line? I think Nilu's going to maintain the lead with his toe on, but no, Tiaz is looking tried to fight his way through, but no, luckily Nilu has managed to keep that position. Stay Daisy up to P4 and behind. Contact the McLaren's round. That is Oh, sorry, who's that? That is Alfred, who's just fallen down to the back of the pack after contact in the middle of the pack. But Nilu has managed to maintain the lead. Then it's Tiaz, the two Ferraris of Kevin and State Daisy, and Tomasz and Ruben battling side by side. And so the leaders contact, and Tiaz pushes Nilu out. If I was Nilu, I'd drive straight into the side of him.
Oh, bit of wing coming off there. More contact from the two of them. I said it would be tight.
Tiaz needs to get that position back, in my opinion. He did it off track. And then maintain the advantage. He needs to get that position back, in my opinion. But we are under a full safety car. Sorry, a full safety car. And well, the reason why Tiaz, I've just realised, was so argy-bargy is because he's on the medium tyres and Nilu's on the hards. So there's a tyre offset up at the front. And
yeah, he's trying to eke out a decent offset with those tyres to try and get, well, a couple seconds from the pit stop. But I mean, when I saw him come into that corner, I don't think he was not alongside Nilu, not nearly enough to be able to claim that inside line, and he just kept it straight and forced Nilu off. So I mean, we'll see how that plays out. We'll see what the stewards say about it. But in my opinion, yeah, I would agree with you that not the cleanest overtake.
But I mean, there's drama already here on lap 1, and the safety car this early means we have to do promotion. So we have here at VDRL, we have many different social media accounts that you can follow us on. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter if you're a sensible person, Instagram, TikTok, and some other social media platform, I think maybe Facebook. We're at VD Racing League, can follow us. You can also, via any one of these links, including our YouTube channel, you can go into the depths of this channel and join the server if you'd like to become a driver, become a commentator with one of us lot, or do anything in the server that you think could help us. All of that is available, but you'll also be able to see and hear the fighting, the handbags, and the great social gatherings that we have here in the league when we aren't racing, which is all very juicy and fantastic action that we see. But we've got action here on the opening lap here in Singapore, already drama with that battle for the lead. And if I said it while we were talking, or while the race was still green. But if I was Nilu, I'd have just driven straight into the side of Tiaz for him doing that, or not straight into the side in like a T-bone, but I would have bumped him straight out of the way again. If he's going to drive like that and bump me out of the way, I'd have done the exact same thing back to set a precedent, because that was a very sketchy overtake. I don't know if you said you saw some wing flying off. I'm not entirely sure if that's the case, because we haven't had any pit stops just yet. But if one of the drivers has damage on their front wing, that will be a mountain to climb at one of the highest downforce tracks on the entire game. But Kevin up to third, Daisy using those medium tyres to good effect, getting up to fourth place. Then it's Ruben, Tomasz, Lucek doing a good job getting up to P7. Then Nico Missio, Werner Froby, track racer Sharon from last to P13, and then finishing hard Dylan, Alex Carew really falling down the back. Oh yeah, he must have been involved in that instant.
He came into the pits, changed on from hards to hards again, so he'll have to make another stop, not going to the end. Or does he need to make another stop? Do you need to change tyres?
Yeah, yes, you need to have two separate. Yeah, you need to have two separate tyres.
Does need to make another stop. But yeah, I think he might have had some damage somewhere, possibly on the wing. Because are we racing again?
No, we're not racing again. We're just on the safety car. And track racers decided to enter the box as well. So we're just seeing a couple of drivers change up their strategy a tiny bit. I don't know if Singapore's a particularly high deg circuit. I mean, obviously it's a longer circuit because of and it's longer lap time because of its slow nature. But because of the slow nature of the circuit, I think that you're pretty lucky for tyre wear. If anything, it's rear limited because of all the wheel spin you'll get out of the corners. But I don't know why people are pitting this early. Unless you're Dylan, who's on the soft, I don't see any reason to pit under the safety car, and he's not come in. But then again, Dylan is known as a bit of a happy-go-lucky driver. I think he has the highest amount of DNFs in VDRL history, as Froby has a 10-second salvation for a collision with Sharon. That's going to be fun for the stewards to deal with. As some interesting action under the safety car with braking and nearly running into the back of...
Yes, we don't want to see another Piastri-like incident. Maybe our stewards will be just as strict as the real ones, but I doubt it.
But yeah, We'll see. The stewards tend to be quite good in this league. I don't remember any big stewarding controversies, and Martin knows I'll be the first guy to point out when this league has a problem. But
safety car in this lap.
We do indeed. The lights are off on the green Aston Martin machine. We have a green Sauber machine leading the front of the pack. So, will we see any action on this restart? Unfortunately, it's not a very big run to the line here in Singapore, especially off the final corners. So, I doubt we'll see any big overtakes. But Nilo is right there. He is waiting for an opportunity to pounce. And remember, we have a bit of animosity between these two because of that overtake for the lead. So if I was Nilo, I'd be pushing as hard as possible, not caring about tyre wear for at least the first lap, trying to gain an advantage on Tiaz, who has now dropped the pin and dropped the throttle, and he's now going. And as I predicted, no moves to begin with. But Nilo will chase him down and hopefully for his sake be able to make a move, if not on the first lap, on the second lap after this, because we'll have DRS. And there are 3 DRS zones on the circuit.
Did he lose it? I couldn't quite see. No, I think he's kept it together.
Yeah, that's Dylan for you. He doesn't know how to keep his car in a straight line. I think about 25 DNFs in his VDRL career, and that's from about 70 starts. So
well, he's made it lucky not to make it 26. He collected that up quite well. He lost the rears. As we see, is that oh wow, we saw a Red Bull go into the back of the Mercedes and backed up the pack. I think he might have made contact with his teammate, possibly the Aston Martin there, as they all kind of crescendoed into each other. Oh, and the Red Bull again into the back of the Haas. These Red Bull drivers, I don't know what's going on with them. They don't seem to have much depth perception as he runs wide. I'm assuming he's got wing damage. Not on, as we see him bumping again. The Williams. This is I don't know what's going on with these Red Bulls at the back, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing from them, honestly.
Yeah, this is battling over the wooden spoon of the minor points placings, because this league we have points all the way down to 20th, and the thing is
we saw a spin there as well.
Is that it's not Osman? Sorry, it's finishing Hart around. So a torrid day for the McLarens there. But what I saw with the instance of the Haas's and the Red Bulls, because I think it was a Haas rather than a Mercedes that he came into contact with to begin with. Was the
McLaren, sorry, I believe it was. At the beginning.
Slowing down in the middle of the corner. A lot of I saw the Haas of Sharon was slowing down a lot in the middle of the corner, overly so I thought, and Dylan was just going straight to the back of him because he has, again, as you said, no depth perception. He's very much Nelson PK in that sense. As Vastas makes sure he doesn't get a time penalty for corner cutting. As Stay Daisy overtakes his teammate Kevin, he's on the better tyres, and I'm not sure if that was a coordinated move or if Kevin isn't going to like that, because Stay Daisy was brought in to be a good teammate for Kevin, because one thing that Kevin hasn't had over the past couple of seasons in VDRL is a good teammate who is willing to be a good number 2 driver for him. He's had a couple of stinkers. I mean, I remember Eden Jones battling with him on slower tyres in Las Vegas last season when he was trying to fight for a title. And, well, it looks like Stay Daisy's just naturally faster, so luckily for him I think that was 5-time champion versus a 6-time champion, and they're going to be battling over 4th place, not even on the podium. So they're very much like Hamilton and Alonso. As I think we've got some technical difficulties here yet again. We may have to have a lobby restart here, because unless this is Martin's Wi-Fi and internet playing up, this might be end up being a lobby reset. Yeah, stream has paused, so we will attempt to cover the race in this short interlude before either Martin gets back into the session or we have to make a new lobby. Hopefully it will be a quick fix regardless of the outcome. But what did you think of those first 5 or so laps we saw from this race?
Oh, well, I mean, I saw some great, some entertaining racing, let's call it, at the front there with the controversial move in the top 2. The Sauber obviously pushing. Who's he racing for? I'm still not fully.
It is. Hold on, I've forgotten who it's Tiaz and Nilo in the Alpine.
Nilo, yes, pushing Nilo just wide again. I mean, up at the front, I mean, we're fighting for first place there, so I think we will see quite a lot of scrutiny on that move. And also, and as you see at the very opposite end of the spectrum with the Red Bulls there, yeah, I mean, my position is I'm not overly impressed with them. There was, yeah, obviously you had the first contact, which you can put up, I guess, maybe to a racing incident, possibly more so on the Haas side, but I mean the retaliation and the driving we saw from both Red Bulls after that first instance was just it was not on. There was some straight line bumping and just not what you like to see, especially when you're fighting over 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, it can get quite scrappy at the back. But I suppose because, as I said, they are actually fighting over points because we have a point system that goes down to 20th place. We brought it in because we had a problem last season of drivers retiring when they were in 13th and 14th places with no chance at getting a top 10. So we've fixed that now by making it so that drivers very rarely, if ever, retire due to just in the pit lane because they can't be bothered to finish the race, and it's mostly fixed. It's mostly fixed the issues we have with that sort of issue. But yeah, as we wait to get back into the game lobby with Martin, we'll have to see what happens when we return, because the race may have changed. We may have another safety car. We may have some damage. We may have something else that really something that really throws a spanner into the works. We could even see a Nilo overtake for the lead, or we may have not seen a Nilo overtake for the lead. So this is the issue we face. There are technical difficulties.
So are we still racing? We're just missing our live feed.
Yes, we are still racing. We are just waiting for Martin to be able to get back into the lobby, I believe.
Any predictions from yourself when we come back?
When we come back, I'm gonna say. I don't actually know. I think the order is just going to stay the same because that's kind of how it works in Singapore, especially with the dirty air. I saw Martin saying he is restarting. I'm assuming he means restarting the game rather than restarting the lobby. So that means that he's going to be a couple more minutes before we get back into action here in Singapore. But still, stay tuned. We are currently a radio show with no physical product to provide you, but stay tuned because you want to see how your favourite driver's doing. You want to see if they've crashed, if they've done well, if they've done badly in the interlude. But we'll see what happens before we return at Marina Bay. Lots of action still to cover. But yeah, it's a difficult circuit anyway, so maybe that's why the Wi-Fi couldn't cope, because it struggled to get around the tight corners of the street circuit. Maybe it didn't listen to Jolyon Palmer's advice of you have to be alert on a street circuit.
Yeah, we had a little bit of graining on the Wi-Fi there. Yeah, nothing that you'd hope that you'd be able to handle, but
here we go. I think we're back.
I think we've got it back as I speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're loading in now. Keep your fingers crossed, everybody. Cross your toes if you need to see where your favourite driver is in the race.
Let's see what we can look at. I mean, this stream isn't the best quality for me. Oh no, we're back. We are back.
Oh, we got a shake-up at the top. Where's...
Nilu's pitted. That's what he's done.
He was on the hards, was he not?
Yeah, he was. So he must have got damage. That's the only way. That's the only way that's happened. He must have got damage. Vastus also out of the race. Although he pitted onto Inters before he retired, which is also quite a strange turn of events. But now Tomasz, as a result of that, is into the podium position. Yellow flag, and that's one of the Haas cars. That's Sharon. Not having the best Tomasz things. I think he's just been lapped. Yeah, he's just been lapped.
He's been lapped without a front wing.
Yeah, so not the greatest of showings there from him. But as I said, yeah, so that's now Tomasz into a podium place. Luzcek up into fourth. I don't know how Luzcek's up into fourth. Hold on. How are Kevin and
Kevin's
Ruben not allowed?
dropped.
Kevin and Ruben have dropped the position to Luz check. Things I never thought I'd say in VDRL. Oh, it's raining, that's why. It's raining.
Is it raining?
Look on the halo and look on the oh, never mind. Martin's turned off the camera we needed. There we go. You can see on it. Look, there's streaks.
Oh yes, yeah, a few droplets coming down. Well, that's definitely going to be a very interesting for the strategy. It's going to hurt most of all Nilu, of course, just come into the pits to put on new hards, and now he's got to go straight back in there for inters.
Yeah,
he is not going to be happy.
Maybe off the Anderson Bridge. But no, there's someone into the pits there though. Someone's just come in. I don't know who it was, but that is, I mean, Kevin. Yes, it's Kevin into the box. I think it is indeed. He will change onto a set of inters. I'm guessing. A bold gamble by the Ferrari man. Is he going to do yet another bottle? Because he's known for bottling, whether it be due to strategy, whether it be due to spinning out while in the lead. Is this going to be another Kevin fumble? I wonder if that's the case.
Yes, the rain doesn't look too heavy, and it seems like the slicks might still be favourable here. As you see some wheel-to-wheel action at the Williams, causing the Haas, it seems to have to brake a little hard, backing up into the RB. 3 cars separated by not a lot as the separation gets wider, as we see the RB have a little bit of a slip on the back. Some great racing from 4th to 6th here.
Yeah, you're going to get a bit of slip at the back when it's slippery conditions. But yeah, we'll just see how the drivers respond to these conditions, because they are, in this game, wet weather conditions. I think Jan Walmer described it perfectly. It's like driving a hovercraft. You don't actually have any feel as to what the car's doing. And I can attest as someone who's driven on wet weather conditions on this game, and I hate them. I usually love driving wet weather conditions in games, but as you can see from this angle, they are literally twitching around like, I don't even know what, like, I can't say anything without being hateful towards certain groups of people. But Osman round there.
The Aston Martin there, just collecting himself on the Haas there. He gave him a little bit of a nudge. Almost lost it, but kept it nice and steady, facing forward as he goes for another lap. As we see now, more and more drivers come into the pits here. The crossover, I think, has come, and the slicks are starting to fall off a little bit here. But the top runners still all deciding that they're going to continue to send it. I assume waiting for a safety car that, by the looks of it, might come out, as we see more and more drivers just not able to handle the wet weather conditions.
Yeah, this Chevron guy, I think we need to question whether this guy's really VDRL material. Like
1 minute 18. I mean, he's racing the F2 guys.
Yeah, yeah. No offense, but I think Ricardo, he makes Ricardo Russell look like Ayrton Senna. As we cut back towards the other Haas, who's performing much better. And then again, performing much better than Sharon is like performing much better than Stevie Wonder in a sight contest. It's not exactly a easy thing. It's not exactly a hard thing to do. But we'll see, because Ruben is currently the driver that's highest up of the inter runners. We'll see. Yeah, he's gaining. Oh no, he isn't. This is the great part of this game. The Delta bounces around. I was going to make another reference there, but I chose not to. So
we're very family friendly here on the stream in the commentary box.
Now, I think we are towards the crossover point now.
Yeah, I see. I mean, I still see some of the Inters boys sliding around a little bit. So I mean, it's quite impressive that the guys on the slicks are still holding it together. As you see the Scudera there onto the Inters there. Big strategy call. Oh, just as I say that, the Alpine. Oh. Just loses it coming around turn 14, loses the rears, and he's not having a good time on the hard tyres. They're going to be cold as ice, and you're not going to see much grip as he comes into the pits for what is to be a fresh wing and some fresh inters, I certainly hope.
Yeah, he didn't speed there, as you usually get when drivers have front wing down, he might speed into the pit lane. But inters for most of the field then. Tiaz still out front, and Alex and Froby further behind, but I think they may have gone one lap too long on this tyre strategy. Yellow flags in sector 2. I'm not sure what the reason is. I think he may have been passing the. I'm running out of words. I was going to just call. I was just going to call him a swear word there, but I chose not to.
Yes, I think he's very optimistic at the prospects of a safety car. I think that is what he's praying for the most. To whoever he prays for, he is praying hard for a safety car. As we see, Haas come out into the wall. Tyres gone. That's definitely going to be a safety car. Have I spoke it into existence as he peels right into the pit, seeing the Haas slam it into the wall behind him, preempting the safety car. Is it coming?
No.
It's not.
No.
Oh, well, he had to come in, and that was the best time, if any, to come in. That was. I speak things into existence. I'm proficial when it comes to these things, apparently.
Oh, and his teammate who has lapped has held him up. That is quite humorous. In the pit lane, he gets held up by his teammate there. Alex also in. Froby, I assume, will be 2. Because, yeah, finally these guys off of the slicks onto the intermediates. But Ruben, currently the highest running intermediate runner, will he move up into the lead?
Oh, and the Ferrari's taken the place with that early inter switch.
So Stade Daisy chose the perfect time to switch over to the intermediates, and DRS is now disabled. It is now Robert Kubica as we come down towards the Raffles Boulevard. Stade Daisy is in the lead of this race. We saw him come to fruition in Las Vegas last season. That was his first chance to win. I don't think he has a victory in VDRL in his VDRL career. I mean, him and street circuits, they go together amazingly. As he does have a fuel warning, but when it's wet weather, I doubt that he will now be fuel to his Delta. If you are losing fuel in the rain, you must be doing something severely wrong on this game. And all he needs to do now is keep Tiaz behind, because track position will be key. Now DRS has gone. It's basically impossible to overtake unless you're millions of a second per lap quicker. So all you need to do is hold him up. Make sure he doesn't make any mistakes. Keep it on the black stuff, the track that is, and make sure that he doesn't give him any avenue to overtake, because he could realistically do 2-minute lap times. But as long as he's ahead, he will win the race. As
long as we don't see any mistakes. Was it him who made the mistake in qualifying, or was it Kevin? Can't quite remember. But if he's able to keep it together, a little bit of a wobble there coming out the final corner. That is not where you want to wobble. If there is any place that you don't want a wobble, it is that final corner into the straight. He's held it together well, and Tias just not able to put that delta in to bunch up to him to get a decent slipstream as the pack evens out a little bit, I will say, as they come towards some back markers.
Yeah, back marker
of Tiaz. The other Sauber, I mean, 2 ends of the spectrum, top of the board and bottom of the board.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting this bad performance from Missio. I thought Missio was quite a decent driver, but clearly that's not the case. As I say, they shouldn't get in the way too much. They are ghosted, although having a ghost car like 2 inches in front of your face can get quite irritating and disturbing if you're a leader, or distracting, should I say, rather than disturbing. As Nico Son overtakes Kevin for 6th. Kevin's having a real torrid time in the rain here. Maybe he is also one of those drivers who actually...
was that a little bit of contact from the Ferrari there on the inside of the corner here, left side of his car? He got very close there. I'm not sure if there was a bump or not, but Tiaz definitely is a lot closer than he was before.
I swear, if Stade Daisy Lando Norris is this and just like crashes his way to a win at Singapore, I'm not going to be happy.
Not sure what the odds are, but it might be a good bet if you're a gambling man or woman.
Or anything in between.
Anything in between. We're very progressive here.
We're quite progressive, like the rear end of Stade Daisy's car, getting loose off of every single corner. But not that time round. He managed to keep it all together as Track Racer gets by Luzcek for 7th place. But this is the thing. This is the one problem with tracks like Singapore, is that when DRS is disabled, you can't make any overtakes. And this is just a general rant that VDRL fans will have become accustomed to about me with modern Formula 1. DRS is the most useless device ever created by humans. I don't know why F1 thought they'd come up with some special rear wing flap that is magic, that no other series uses, and is only applicable in a very certain few circumstances. And even when it does work, it either works too well or doesn't work well enough. So, yeah.
It would be interesting to see the new specifications for next year as we watch the RB of Alex. Beautiful overtake there, dive bombing it down the rear. He just that was a very lovely overtake from the RB there on the Haas. But going back to what I was saying before, I'm not sure how the new specifications with the rear flaps and the anywhere DRS is going to work in the rain. I don't know if we have any information on that.
I don't think they definitely won't allow rear wings to be open in the rain, unless they allow the front wings as well. But of course, so it'll probably be less beneficial to run it. But essentially, what it's going to be is it's going to be a worse version of DRS, because the problem with DRS is that you couldn't follow, but I suppose you could still gain on the go in front. Now, because everyone's allowed to use it at all times, it will be the case that no one gains an advantage. That was the point. That's the point of like energy deployment, because you can gain an advantage by deploying it in certain parts of the circuit. At least it will, I suppose, get rid of the idea that you can't overtake at certain corners, because now, because of DRS, you can only overtake in DRS zones. If you try and overtake into a non-DRS zone, you then get re-overtaken into the DRS zone. So I suppose there is that, but that's a problem. Now with this, it will be the case that the efficiency, the aero efficiency of the cars will be so good with the wings and stuff open that you just won't be able to overtake. You won't be able to get a slipstream. Is why racing at Monza in recent years has become so bad, because the rear wings are so skinny that you cannot make an overtake. And that's why I think they should have minimum rear wing angles, or at least a Hanford device of some sort, where drivers literally they get massive drag put on their car.
I say bring back V10s, bin off all this aero stuff, no wind tunnels, you just throw a dart and you guess. And I think we'd probably see a lot closer racing than we see at the moment. Although I must say this race has been rather close. We've seen some interesting battles here, but not too many overtakes. I think that RB overtake was the first one that I got to saw, apart from the one at the top with Tiaz on Nilu, who, speaking about Nilu, has fallen from grace, unfortunately. Very bad luck, as he's still down in 13th with the penalty. Yeah, very unfortunate for him.
Yeah, he doesn't have a penalty actually, so I believe that if he had one before, he served it. Track racer on the inside of Kevin. Oh, I thought he was going to go for that move there, track racer, but ends up backing out of it. Stay Days has managed to keep the lead for now, as we have just passed half race distance in this.
I've watched this final braking zone here with this Williams. If he's able to push it out that final corner, gap extended a little bit. Has he got balls of steel, as we would say? Does the Ferrari in front have a wife and kids, as Alonso would say? Does seem like he doesn't, as the positions stay the same.
Yeah, this is the problem, because the straights aren't long enough, and the ones that are long enough, you just can't get any sort of slipstream through. This is what I've always been saying. Like IndyCar, or kart as it was back in the day, had what they called the Hanford device, and it basically meant that on a lot of the ovals, they had this. Basically, it was just a fat gurney flap that just stood up on the rear wing and made the rear wing angle massively crazy. And then the closing distance and the ability to be able to catch up to drivers with slipstream was insane. And essentially just be yo-yoing on the ovals. It was fantastic. I mean, it was crazy racing, but it was still very entertaining. But again, that was the days when Indy cars would do 250 miles an hour.
You know, everything is bigger and better in America, as they say. But I must say, with all of the issues and controversies around Formula One, it is still very dear to all of our hearts. Even in the bad times, we love it dearly.
NASCAR's better.
Wow, that's a very, very controversial statement from yourself. I would see how our viewers react to that. I certainly would disagree with that. Although my knowledge of IndyCar is lacking. But yeah, well, I am very biased, I will admit, to Formula One. I grew up with it, and it is the Sundays it is on, you'll see me planted on my settee watching it as we see the Williams of a trapped racer come in to the pit. Not sure why did he have damage there, or his inters were not that old. Can't quite see.
Maybe he's going to wets. Maybe he did just cheese for his.
Full wets would be a very bold pick. I can't quite see the colours.
Yep,
he goes to full wets. Wow, he must think that the conditions are going to worsen. We don't have a weather forecast up here. We don't have any meteorologists telling us how the weather is going to progress, but it is very heavy at the moment, I must say.
Yeah,
as we see extremely close racing from the RB and the Ferrari here. This Alex and Kevin battle has been very entertaining, and Alex is really pushing it up. He dropped down quite a few places, so it did in fact Kevin here. The two drivers who've been worse for wear in the first half of this race, they're pushing very hard here.
Yep, I'm just keeping an eye on the gap between Track Racer and the guy in front of him. He's gaining, but it's not by massive amounts at the moment, which does indicate, again, we're at the crossover point between and wet tyres. And this is the problem. When you want to believe it, you don't want to make a decision and then it be the wrong decision. Because this could be a 5-minute shower, and in 5 minutes the wets are going to be useless. But now, Track Racer is gaining a lot on Werner. I'd like to see actually the gap to the leader to check if this is just because Werner's driving like a dipshit. I will see. Track Racer, 51 seconds. We'll see what that gap is in a sector's time. That's usually how you see it.
What I would like to see is the other green machine put on some wets and give some information to Tias, give some information to his teammate, because quite frankly he's a minute behind. And as I say that again, official as I am, he puts on the wets and hopefully he communicates how they feel to Tias. That is what a good teammate would do. We'll see if we see Tias go for the pits, because at the moment he's been hanging around 0.9, 0.7 as wow. We see the RB go from quite far away into where are we? Turn 8.
You mean you call it?
That was amazing. That is turn 8. Turn 8 into turn 9, I believe.
Are you sure?
I have the map up here. It says turn 8 to turn 9 as we come down this back straight to turn 10.
Hold on.
Because you've got the S's at the beginning, that right to left to left, right to left, right.
Unless Singapore is one of those circuits that counts like slight kinks in the road as
it does. That first wide corner when you turn in left to the right, back into the left is 3 corners, and the kink for corner 4, yeah.
Oh, so right. That's one thing I can't stand about modern race. It's the same with Jeddah. Like that circuit does not have 27 corners.
Well, you gotta. I think it's a bragging game for all of these circuits. We have 2 more corners than you. They might be a 2 degrees corner.
It's a number. Like Ayrton Senna got in trouble for bragging about numbers and how big they were.
He got in trouble for some other numbers as well. But we shan't talk about those on stream, as we see the kick Sauber of Tias. Still, within spitting distance of the Scarlet Ferrari. He's just in the rain, no DRS. They're both slipping, I think, in equal amounts, and it's just keeping that gap very steady around the 7/10 mark. As we see, but I mean, they are prodding along as we see Ruben in third, 15 seconds away from the pack. They are pushing in a different league entirely to the rest of the grid.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that. And one thing that is a shame is we used to have, or at least I'm not sure if he's still in the server, but there was a guy called Mayverse, who was the king of wet weather conditions and of street circuits, I believe. I would want to see how he'd have done in this race, because he'd have been perfect around Singapore in wet weather conditions. But unfortunately, he hasn't done a race in a long time, I don't think. So
big, deep braking there from the Sauber of Tias as he got real close there. The gap down from 7 tenths to 3 tenths as we see a caution on turn 14 gone away. But that was a bold move from Tias there. Could have very easily lost his front wing, but now he's so close he can smell blood from the gearbox of the Ferrari, and he wants a taste.
Yeah, he wants a taste of that prancing horse. You could say that's what he wants, but this is, as I said, this is the eternal problem when you go to a circuit that doesn't have the avenues to make the passes that you want. I mean, we are going around avenues and closes and streets and whatever suffixes you can add on to a street name in the UK. Other options are available. But yeah, this is a problem. Also, Track Racer, by the way, has lost time, so it's still not wet weather conditions just yet. If it is going to get any heavier, that is, then maybe we'll look at something different. But we have only 11 laps remaining, 10.5 in reality. And this race has been a whole lot of nothing, to be honest. This is one of the not one of the worst races I've seen in VDRL history, because I've commentated on some absolute dozers, as Martin will be well aware of. But this is definitely not the standard. Definitely not two people jogging off into the distance and still not being able to overtake each other. That's not usually what we see. But yeah, we'll have 10 laps to go at the end of this one. And apart from a drastic weather change, I don't think we're going to see much change in the order. Because as I said, unless Daisy makes a mistake, he's going to stay in that lead. Yellow flags in sector 1. That's one of the Red Bulls. That is CT Sorry. Not exactly.
The wet, still unable to keep it on the track.
Yeah.
As we see the kick of the Ferrari, a little bit of contact there as Tias comes on the inside. He's right up close. These two are jostling. You can say what you want about it being boring, as he gets a great exit. A great exit out of turn 4. Turn 3, turn 4, and he's in the lead. He has taken it from Daisy. We talked about Norris. Oh, he's given the position back. The contact, I think, pushed the Ferrari a little wide, and Tias has done the respectful thing and given that position back to Daisy, as we can now continue to see some more great racing from these two, carrying the what would otherwise be some mundane broadcasting here.
Yeah, this is giving vibes of, you won't get this from because it's a NASCAR reference, but this is giving vibes of Conor Zilish and Shane Van Gisbergen at Sonoma earlier on in this year. Those two just literally drove off into the distance compared to everyone else. That was a great race to watch. But it seems to stay Daisy is getting a bit sloppy. Those tyres are, well, they're not old, but they are getting on in their lifespan. And Tias is known for being fast. I'm not really sure if he's a particular tyre saver, but he's known for being fast, and that's his main thing. Is now Track Racer has gained 2 seconds on the leaders since we last checked. Maybe this is the time, because he's gaining he gained a few tenths on that last corner. He keeps gaining time, and they are. I
think that might be due to a little bit of a scuffle, but I mean the rain is continuing to pour, and we might see some standing water if it does continue to pour, and that is where the wets do thrive.
Yep. As Neela does overtake Track Racer, yellow flags again. Ooh. A spin for one of Williams off Track Racer. Yeah, Track Racer. Maybe contact with Neela, or he's just gone off on his own accord there. That's a shame for him, because he was our guinea pig for the wet weather tyres. So now we.
I'm watching the other Sauber at the bottom here. His times have not changed at all. Actually, anyway. Exactly. He is not the best statement piece, unfortunately. Much respect to him, but we must admit he is not putting in the times that we'd expect. As the top runners come up to the Red Bulls now. Thank God they are ghosted. I dread to think about the blue flag conditions we'd see from them.
It'd be Renier new, except even more terrorism. That's another reference. Yeah.
No, it's not. But terrorism is a good word to use. That is what I'd expect.
Renier new is because blue flags in Formula One used to be advisory. Used to you only got out of the way if you wanted to. and Renier new was a driver who just refused to get out of the way. So there was a race at Monaco where he literally held. I think he held up the leaders for like 10 laps because he just could not be able to get out of the way. And that was where James Hunt's iconic and all I said to his bullshit quote.
Yes.
That's where that race is where that quote comes from.
James Hunt. I mean, what a man. Yeah, I've heard some stories about him. He a true classic of a driver. You don't see anyone with the likes of him today, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on your side. I'm sure Bin Salem definitely is very grateful he does not have a James Hunt in the roster at the moment.
My karting helmet that I use is a James Hunt replica, so that's quite cool. I mean, the one I've got coming in the post, hopefully very shortly, is a Pastor Maldonado replica, which is also going to be quite cool when that ends up coming. But it's getting to the point in this race where we're talking about my karting experiences because of how tepid and not boring, but how lackluster this race has become in terms of action. I think that there's not really any solution we can do in the game, which is frustrating. But yeah, Dylan moves past Track Racer, who I believe is just... Oh, he's back onto the Inters.
Yeah, they've all switched off. The experiment is over.
Yeah, I think the rain has got lighter. I don't see it coming down as heavily as it once was. So it might even get to dry. As say Daisy. Oh, I thought he was defending from Triaz there. He's not, unfortunately.
Triaz is going to be very unhappy with his Red Bull. Throwing off his vision as he finally gets past him. But for the boredom we do see, I must give it up to State Daisy. He's done a very good job so far. I don't want to, put any commentator's curse on him, but he's done very well so far. Oh, I will stop talking. I will keep my mouth closed as you see a mistake from the Ferrari slipping out of the final corner gives the place to the Sauber, but the Sauber also making a mistake on the first corner, and he comes around the Ferrari, not quite able to get it as we come out of the fourth corner into this straight. Those few corners, mistakes to mistakes. We see Tias.
Yeah. There's a crash. Sorry, crash for Track. No, he's actually DNF'd in the pit lane. I will just say, by the way, Stay Daisy's defence on that main straight was awful. He needed to close that gap down as much as possible to try and scare Tiaz off the circuit, essentially, and he didn't do any of that. Because had he done that, I think that he would have been able to keep that position, but I think he was just a bit too scared. I think we could get dry conditions in the last couple of laps.
That would definitely make this race a lot more interesting.
I think we could have we might have a reverse of Spa 2008 in the last couple of laps. As Kevin gets a 3-second time penalty, currently down in 7th place, and he is also he's on the oldest tyres of anyone. If we're talking about drying conditions and tyres that maybe aren't fully suited to the conditions, he'll be the first person to get a puncture if there is one to be had in this event. But 6.5 laps to go in this race. And I mean, the leaders, they can take more risks than the rest of the field because they essentially have a pit stop's gap to the guys behind. So well,
the top two are almost eking out a pit stop on Ruben. Certainly, they have one on Tomas. So they have a lot to play with here. As unfortunately we see Tias now that he's got free air is making up considerable time on State Daisy. Over a second now out of DRS range if one was to be reactivated, but yeah, we see Tias seems to be a free air demon when he's not backed up behind the rear hooves of the Ferrari.
I'm trying to think of what I was going to say. Well, I think that we need to get dry conditions as soon as possible to mix up the strategy, because that's the only way that Stay Days is winning this. But also,
we'll
maybe
get on the phone with Poseidon and try and get some dry conditions for us.
Yeah. I mean, Stay Days, there's also the option where if you're Stay Days, do you now come in for Inters? Because although you would definitely lose the position to Ruben, I think that 1 lap all Inters would definitely be better than 15 lap all Inters, as Nico-san makes a mistake and lets Alex through into
Alex is another one to be watching this race. He's made some considerable gains after not the best start. Down on positions, but I think he dropped considerably from the first lap, so I think he's pushed back up to basically where he started from.
Yeah, that's a good job from him, I suppose. So Daisy back into the proverbial DRS range, although he loses it again on the exit. But I do feel like he'll be gaining confidence. This is the problem. When the track conditions are getting better and better, there are some drivers who will push harder and find grip earlier and better than others. And some drivers will take a lap or two to really bed into these conditions. And that's the problem that he'll have when it comes to this. He'll have to try and... because he'll be hoping that the DRS is activated anytime soon. And if it is, then his potential race win is saved. As he comes through on lap 27 of 31. We will have 4 to go at the end of this one. And that will allow us to see what the rain is doing. Unfortunately, I don't think it will be wet weather, because I think we needed some sun to come out, or not some sun, but some the rain to stop. We need the rain to stop, is what I was trying to say. If we were to get a fully dry track by the end, or not fully dry, at least partly dry track by the end of the race. Alex now on the rear end of Tomasz. Can the RB regain his starting position and go from 4th to 4th? We'll see what he can do. Not the best of runs through that corner there from Tomasz, but not the best exit either from Alex as he burns through that battery in an attempt to gain, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Even with his...
a little bit of a bump. Wobbles him.
Yeah, he needs to calm down a little bit here. He's trying these... He's very Kobayashi-esque, trying these aggressive tactics, and I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, he's not driving with his head, that is for sure. I think he's driving on pure anger at his luck this race. But I must say, you know, this battle be damned, he has done a good job of getting back to where he started, and he's right on the backside of Tomasz here, definitely smelling the fumes of his gearbox, and I'm sure he is not a fan of them. Oh, as we see a big slide from Tomasz there. He's still got the place. He's managed to keep it on the track there. Great recovery, but he's now put the RB right in striking distance as the RB goes down the inside. Pushes the Alpine a little bit wide there. Not sure what the stewards will say about that, how far he was up the side, but he's made the overtake stick now as Alex moves up into his original... tongue twister there. His original position there, pushing the Alpine now into the striking zone of the Aston Martin of Nicholson, who is more than happy to gobble up the mistakes that are coming in front of him.
Yeah, I think Nicholson has a history of gobbling it up. So
he's the George Russell. He does nothing and comes third. He just sits and waits.
I guess so, actually. That is actually quite accurate depiction of Nicholson. He does tend to just kind of sit around in the upper midfield, basically like Nico Hulkenberg, except without the lack of podiums. And Nico Hulkenberg has got one of those now. So, although Alex is a bit all over the place. Oh, sorry, that's not Alex, that's Tomasz, my bad.
Where is the gap? 13 seconds, yeah, I think we're not going to see any more from Alex.
Yeah.
But there's
this, I think, is the closest battle on track.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Alpine braking heavy, causing the Nicholson to brake heavy there, as that we see that knock-on effect of the lockups. This corner here for the Alpine of Tomasz here. What corner is this? It's corner 14. It does not seem to be a favourite of Tomasz is here, as we see the Alpine do the exact same move that that Alex pulled on the the Aston Martin pulled the exact same move that the RB of Alex pulled, almost exactly the same, except there was a little more contact here, and I think Tomasz is going to be very, very upset with how his luck has played out.
Yeah, if I
will charge to the stewards' room straight after this race. I can guarantee you that much.
If he gets a run into the Rivals Boulevard, he needs to send it right back up his inside. Not because he thinks he can get by, but on principle.
Yeah, I do think that move from Nico-san was a little too aggressive there.
Go on, send it up in. Oh, you wuss. But he because this is the thing. When you're a driver, especially one who's a tad bit slower, you do need to set a precedent that people can't just barge you out of the way. This is what because I find when I do a bit of league racing on this game, I find that the faster drivers will often. It's not all of them. Not all of them are egotistical dipshits, but some of them will just barge you out of the way or try and barge you out of the way. And what you need to do is you need to show them that's not going to happen. You turn in on them. You drive aggressively if you have to, and it stops them from doing dodgy moves. We are now on the second to last lap, by the way, and I mean the rain hasn't stopped. I thought it might have done. I thought we might have seen some sunny conditions before the end, but unfortunately that's not the case. We're back. We are still in this limbo phase where drives are definitely not the order of the day. They've been on these inters for such a long time, and I do still think that Stay Daisy could have tried maybe to go to the inters and seen how they worked, but that won't be the case for that happens, as Nico-san and Tomasz get a 3-second time penalty in unison. That's ironic.
It does seem that turn 3 is quite it's quite dangerous when it comes to track limits here. I mean, I think a lot of these drivers have been getting these penalties on turn 3 as you just come a little wide out of turn 2. Turn 2's a relatively fast corner, and I think they just overestimate how much grip they actually get coming out of turn 2 into turn 3.
Yeah, I think that is definitely the case, but one man that hasn't succumbed to those issues and hasn't succumbed to really any issues all race is Tiaz. He's been super consistent. He bided his time behind a driver who he knew he was faster than and pulled away. He's not miles faster than Stay Daisy, so all credit to the Ferrari man. He's only 3 seconds behind after being overtaken, I think it was around lap 23. So all credit to him for at least staying in close proximity and still pulling out a gap more impressively on Ruben, who we all know is a fantastic driver, not just in the wet, but in general. Ruben has not been, he's not been at the races today, ironically, but he's still going to end up in the third place position. What this will do is this will extend Tiaz's championship lead. We've been joking around in previous streams about just how good his season's been, and I've even been having conversations with some of the staff members in VDRL to discuss potential point systems that will stop us from having dominant campaigns, all because of this man's dominance, really, and because of the dominance of drivers in previous seasons. This will be, if he does manage to cross the line in first place, which is still not guaranteed, it will be his 5th win of the season, and we're only 8 races into the calendar.
Wow.
An insane run, and he's finished second in 3 of those and only off the podium once. So he has done a fantastic job here in Singapore. He's kept his nerve, he's pulled out a gap, and he's just kept everyone else at arm's reach, and the rest of them are down on their knees. So that's all I can really say about what has been a fantastic drive. Tiaz is going to come round the final corner and win here in Singapore. What a fantastic drive from him. Stay Daisy puts on a good performance of himself to go P2 and runners up. Ruben, I mean, he was nowhere in qualifying, and he was nowhere really in the race. the least nowhere of everyone else. So he's going to come home with a third place. Not the best of runs through that section of corners, but yeah, he is smoothly making his way as he nearly bins it out of the final corner, but he's not going to care. That's P4 for him. Alex, well, he did recover, and he recovered well, back up to P4, and he wildly clears it up across the line.
All these drivers really pushing it to the line.
Yeah, Nico's going to get overtaken by Tomasz though on penalties. So Tomasz is going to get his position back.
I think that's fair.
And Kevin is going to get overtaken by Nilu, because Nilu's back up into the top 7.
Wow.
Somehow, he's made up some positions while we haven't been looking. Luzcek also up into the points positions, as is Werner, and he'll be the last drivers across the line. Werner taking what would be the last points position if we were in the normal F1 point system, and his teammate Froby managed to stay on the lead lap, but in so much of a no man's land. He was 28 seconds behind the car in front of him and 28 seconds in front of the car behind him. So, yeah, he had a minute separating him and the next 2 cars, which is wild. But that was, if not the most barnstorming, exciting race of the season, definitely one that proved who is at least the best in the league at the moment. He's definitely doing an Alex Palou, definitely doing maybe a Verstappen, maybe not a Verstappen 23, but a dominant season nonetheless. Maybe one of Hamilton's dominant seasons, but at least Tiaz can say he doesn't have a 1-second car advantage. We're giving him all the wins. But we move in towards the podium celebrations and then the results screen, and then we will move into the interview pen to record the opinions of our top 3. Tiaz, the race winner, fastest lap holder, and the cleanest driver apparently. Meanwhile, driver of the day goes to Alex. He got pole position, or he didn't get pole position, he got fastest lap and he gets the win. Tiaz pulling all the stops out to take the win here in Singapore, followed by Stade Daisy and Ruben on the podium. Alex, then Tomasz, Nicholson, Nilu, Kevin, Luzcek, Werner, Froby. Osman was the first driver a lap down, then Dylan, finishing Hart, and then CT Zori, I believe, no, he wasn't the first driver DNF, he was a lap down, then Missio was 2 laps down, Track Racer was a DNF, Sharon was also a non-classified finisher, Vastus and Alfred Kirsten, who didn't even make it a lap into the race. That's a disappointment for them, but definitely not for Tiaz, who we will see and hear from in the interviews pen in just a couple of seconds' time as we sort out our microphones. Here we are in the interviews pen. We have Tiaz and we have Ruben at the moment, just waiting on our second placeman, who I've now conveniently forgotten. Oh, it's Stay Daisy, isn't it? To join. Although I don't remember ever hearing Stay Daisy's voice in the comms box, so I think that he might not be joining. While we wait for him to join, we have our third placeman though, so we may as well go to him with a couple of questions. So, Ruben, you didn't look that competitive throughout the entire qualifying and race really, but you've managed to kind of not stumble your way up into a podium position, but you're the least worst of anyone who wasn't Tiaz or Stay Daisy. So how was that race from your perspective?
I mean, this race wasn't my best, of course. It was really shit to say that. I didn't have the pace to even fight for those high podiums positions. And then at the start, I had a little touch. Well, I completely ate the P4, and maybe I'll get a penalty for that. But I'm like 8 seconds away from him.
Nothing. That's talk.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think we have some technical difficulties. I think someone forgot he was muted, but carry on.
Yeah. And then the thing is, Stade Daisy and Tiaz were light years away from us, from everyone on the grid. So GG's for them.
Yeah, that was a good race from you and from everyone else. I'm going to keep asking you questions. Obviously, this is another blow in your title battle because someone keeps winning all the races. How do you feel about that? And do you have any plans to rectify the issues that we've been having, or that you've been having so far this season?
I mean, I had some races with bad luck, some races I fucked up with the setups with the setup in this, for example. And then, yeah, it's really hard for the title fight for me. It's like almost 1 for Tias. The only thing I can see probably to still fight for the title is that he crashed on Baku. Then that's it, because it's really, really far and really, really hard for me. And I will hope for that.
Do you have any questions, Jake, that you'd like to ask Ruben?
Oh, no, I think you asked them all. I mean, how did you feel about the conditions and the changeover? We were discussing a lot in the race. That kind of crossover point between slicks and inters. Not quite sure how long after the rain started coming down that you did switch, but yeah, how did you feel with those conditions?
Yeah, at the start of when it was starting to rain, I decided to pit really early, and I think it was the optimum lap to pit. But then when the rain was stronger and when the track really got wet, it was really hard for me, as I had a really low wing setup and no grip at all in all the tires, and I still managed to keep away the Alpine and their racing bulls. And yeah, I'm not. I didn't feel really well the track for me after that crossover.
I think that I think that concludes our questions for our third place man. We'll now move on to our second place driver, a man who led for part of the race but eventually came to the runners up position. So, Stay Daisy, how was that race from your perspective?
Well, for me, it was a pretty good race. Honestly, I wasn't expecting second. Like I was aiming for like fifth, maybe fourth. There was just some crashes ahead, made some moves, and yeah, somehow got P2. I'll take that.
Obviously, you were strongest. I think you basically got into the lead because of your opportune strategy, and you were the highest driver up of the guys who went into the pits on the lap that you went in. How much do you think that helped you in this race? And do you think it basically decided your fate, or do you think you'd have got up in the wet conditions anyway?
I'd say the switch to intermediates helped a lot. Especially momentarily getting the first and everything, and with everyone else pitting at different times and everything, it was just hard to tell. So yeah, nothing much to comment, I guess. I guess it did change my fate and everything because somehow I had pace on intermediates, but yeah.
And last question from me: that mistake that ended up giving Tiaz the lead, was that bound to happen considering his pace advantage, or are you gutted to not have the win?
Well, I think it was bound to happen. I was struggling for the most corners because I could tell just having him behind me that he had definitely had the pace advantage, and just felt like he had more control of the car just for it. So it was bound to happen, but I'm a little disappointed. But we move on.
Do you have any questions, Jake, that you'd like to ask to Stay Daisy?
No, I think that question about that incident into the last corner was what I would have asked. But yeah, good race from yourself, and we're definitely excited to see how you perform in the races to come.
And we will now move to our winner, a man who is collecting trophies like there's no tomorrow this season, and is dead set favourite to win a championship. Tiaz, what did you think of that performance?
I think it was a bit comical, to be honest. It was kind of, yeah, with the crossover and stuff. It was kind of silly. I just blindly kind of followed what the in-game engineer said, even though my gut told me to pit anyway, but I didn't. Basically, the engineer was saying, yeah, it clearly dries for now. Don't worry about it. So I stayed out, and that obviously didn't work. And then I go into the pits, and in my box I see a green car which happens to have a disconnected symbol next to it, which wasn't great. So that helped me up for maybe 1 or 2 seconds more. Yeah, at that point I was kind of laughing at myself because of course that happens. Yeah, I think there was one silly move for me with State Daisy into turn 1. But I let him pass. I think he got an illegal overtake, so I had to let him pass twice. But I don't think that's a problem because I gave it back, and I think I drove pretty nicely overall.
Yep. Obviously, I'm not sure exactly how many wins you've had this season. I think it's now the 5th win you've had this season. Are you pretty much like consolidating your championship lead now, rather than trying to extend it, or what are your thoughts in the championship battle?
Yeah, I think the only thing I have to do is just not crash out and DNF, because that could be kind of catastrophic, or at least bring Ruben back. So I think all I gotta do is get decent results, but I will of course try to win races still.
And in the upcoming races, I'm not exactly sure what the calendar entails, but the upcoming races, are you looking at any tracks in particular, or are they all kind of up your alley?
I think Hungary and Baku are pretty good. I feel comfortable with Qatar as well on the last one, but I don't think I'm really super fast there. But it is my first win, and VDRL was at Qatar, so I think I'll be fine the last 3 races.
Do you have any questions for our winner today, Jake?
Well, of course I do. I want to stir up some controversy. I mean, my question is that overtake you managed to get on Nilu at the very beginning of the race. We saw Nilu, we saw the tail end of it. We saw Nilu going wide, and you up the inside. I'm just interested in how you see that overtake and your thought process going into it and coming out of it.
Yeah, so obviously take what I'm gonna say with a grain of salt, because I haven't looked back at it or anything. But for me, it seemed very similar to the incident I had with who was it again? It was with Brazil with an Aston Martin, Nico-san, right? I was up the inside, and I was clearly there for quite a while, and I don't think he left me enough room, so we made contact, and I picked up a little bit of damage, but evidently it wasn't that bad. And yeah, he went off, and I overtook him. That's what happened. At least I think that's what happened.
Well, I mean, thank you and congratulations for yet another win. I'm sure you will soon get tired of congratulations, though it is all deserved. And excited to see you race in the upcoming race.
Thank you.
I will just add something on. You never get tired of congratulations. I can say as a very, very, very professional athlete who is used to winning. But I think that will conclude our coverage here from the TF Friday race in Singapore for yet another exciting, entertaining, and enthralling VDRL race. So join us next week at whatever track we're at, because I haven't checked before I went on to this little segment. Hungary will be at another tight, twisty technical section just without the walls. So maybe less safety cars, maybe more strategy. Who knows? But without further ado, we'll see you all next week. Bye!
Take care. Bye.